It is never over until it's over. That is why you watch even races like this that might not have been the most compelling from green flag to checkered flag, but this is why you watch every single race to the end. Because, man, one, if you're Christopher Bell, I feel for you. Two, if you're Ryan Blaney, I really feel for you. But three, if you're Austin Cindric, if there was any worry about being booted to maybe the 21 or taken to the Xfinity Series or just taken out of that too, which I don't think there really was, but if there was, it's gone now. Welcome in, everybody, to Gateway post-race. This is the first time I watched this race from home. I'd been at the last two, and I gotta say that no matter what kind of racing this track produces, they produce moments. Things you can remember one way or another. And today is another one of those things. I thought it was just that Suarez had slowed Blaney down at the end. But then when you saw him get slower and you saw Cindric going past, you're like, wait, what the hell? Nobody, not even Blaney, was thinking that we were going to see the 12 car run out of fuel there. But great run in his part. And thank you, by the way, to Austin Cindric for this, because he got my DraftKings lineup a little higher up, and I won $30 off of my initial bet. So good for me. But let's get on into this, guys. Be sure to lick that like button, subscribe if you're new. I want you to spam out of 10 what you thought of the race. 10 out of 10 being the best race you've ever seen. 0 out of 10 being the worst race you've ever seen. Let me know in there. I want to see all the numbers flying, and we'll be spamming some stuff throughout this race. But let's talk about the 2024 Enjoy Illinois 300 at World Wide Technology Raceway, which, interestingly enough, has had 3 straight years of internet problems. We'll get to that in a bit. Race was 240 laps long, 2 hours, 48 minutes, 3 seconds, 16 lead changes among 10 leaders, and 5 cautions. Austin Cindric brings the 2 to victory lane for the first time since his Daytona 500 win at the very start of the next-gen era. He wins by 3.844 seconds over Denny Hamlin in second. Brad Keselowski comes home third. Another solid run for RFK. Tyler Reddick in fourth. Good, quiet run for him as well. Joey Logano, his worst ever finish here, fifth. Very good run, needed good run for that 22 team. But I will say, with the 2 winning, that's going to shake up the playoff lineup. And as soon as they get it up and ready to go, whether it's on the TV behind me or behind you guys, I guess, when it comes to the camera, or on Twitter, whatever it might be, we'll look into that. But until then, let's just go over this race as it is now. Austin Dillon in 6th. Great run for Austin Dillon today. Christopher Bell putters home to 7th after a dominant day, just in front of Carson Hocevar, who was an underdog pick of mine this week. Not as good as Danny's underdog pick of Austin Cindric, but Carson Hocevar with an 8th place finish. Justin Haley with a 9th place run. And Kyle Larson recovers to a top 10 finish today, 10th position, as we await the news of his waiver this week. Ty Gibbs, solid 11th place run. Behind him is Ross Chastain in 12th. Chase Elliott in 13th. 14th, Chris Buescher. William Byron in 15th. 16th, Todd Gilliland. Chase Briscoe 17th. Hemrick in 18th. Zane Smith 19th. Good top 20 run for him. Much needed top 20 run for him. And Ricky Stenhouse in the 20th position. Bubba Wallace 21st on the day. Noah Gragson 22nd. Suarez comes home 23rd. He just got past Blaney, put a full lap on him on that last lap as Blaney comes home last on the lead lap in 24th. Pole sitter Michael McDowell was not supreme today. He finished 25th, 1 lap off the pace. The legacy cars of Eric Jones in 26th and 27th, John Hunter Nemechek both a lap down. Alex Bowman 28th, 1 lap off the pace, as is Ryan Preece in 29th and Derek Kraus in 30th, as well as Harrison Burton in 31st and Corey LaJoie 32nd. Cody Ware 2 laps down, 33rd position today. Martin Truex Jr. 3 off the pace in 34th. Kyle Busch in 35th and Josh Berry 36th and last. Those 2 were the only 2 out of the race today. Spam the twos for Austin Cindric. We'll read those super chats after we get through everything when it comes to this race. But let's put the results up. Figures we have a crazy race. It's a one-time Fox actually does do a post-race, though I think they're pretty much done interviewing. So, but here is the results. I am more than likely, because I was so frazzled by what was going on, I might have gotten something wrong. So you guys let me know what the deal is. But there you go. Right up top is the finishing order of this race. I think I got it all. I think we'll be good. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. I see the twos in the chat. It's just, what bad luck, man. What bad luck for the 20 and the 12 today. By the way, this week on my channel, Wednesday night, NWP. Be sure to watch 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be a lot of fun. And, yeah, so yeah, I'm looking in the chat. Some people don't know what exactly was going on. It looks like Blaney just ran out of fuel. They didn't put enough fuel in the car, which is crazy, especially in this kind of like modern era of NASCAR where everyone is like just doing everything to a T. It's very rare to see that kind of mistake basically by a team, especially a lap short at a track like this. I mean, that's probably like, I don't know, maybe, you know, this, by the way, this is honey in my water. But it's like maybe this much fuel. This is not gasoline or anything else. It's not tea, just honey. Honey water, so my voice doesn't go out halfway through like it always does. That's about it. That's probably what it was. And GN NASCAR fan in the chat brings up a great point here. They did lose their SMT data because the internet gateway went out for most of the facility, which is the third straight year because there were internet issues in 2022 when I was there. Last year, the power went out at different points, as well as the internet for a long swath of that race, and we had that red flag because of it. And this year, same damn thing. I will say this. If Gateway is to continue on in the Cup Series, and especially if they want to pursue a playoff date like so many have talked about, this needs to get under control. That is one thing. They need to get it under control. And like Noah Coleman in the chat says, it's ironic. It's ironic that World Wide Technology Raceway has the worst internet in all of NASCAR. Like, of all NASCAR tracks. By the way, I don't have the sound on because I don't want to get like copyright problems. So I'm seeing people talking about the internet, or not the internet, the audio. What's up on the audio side for Fox? Did something happen? Is there like some weird sound or something? Let me know. But let's get into this race. Let's talk about it here. So, Michael McDowell is on the pole. He leads early on. This is a track, again, and I put him on my DraftKings lineup, which I'm not sponsored by them. It's just I do it every now and then to have fun. What isn't wrong with Fox? Charles, you are so true. That you are right. Because this is a track, though, that McDowell just seems to always lead at. I don't know what it is about this track, but he's just really damn good here. And he led the first probably 40 or so laps. The early part of the run was basically just, it's a very short first stage, 45 laps of a 240 lap race. But it was basically made up of Cody Ware spinning with people. Welcome back, Cody Ware. Well into form. Cody Ware first on lap 3 spun off turn 2 with John Hunter Nemechek. And then he also spun with Derek Kraus, which I'm not too surprised by that either. Not much experience there. But it's kind of expected. I mean, are we really expecting Cody Ware to go out there and not run 30th in a car that is proven? I mean, this is the funny thing about it. Cody Ware finishes 33rd today, 2 laps off the pace, right? Same prepared car, same team, is in the top 10 with Justin Haley in the 9th position. 9th position, Justin Haley today, finished in the top 10. He finished ahead of Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs, Chase Elliott, Byron, a lot of good guys. And yeah, like Spencer said, Mike Joyce, sigh, it's Cody Ware. I just put Kaz Grala back in that car, please. Please put Kaz Grala back in the 15 car. That car deserves to run at least in the top 30. It's shown the speed and ability to, and it's obviously a driver issue. But tires proved to, for the most part, not matter too much. They mattered if you had an amazing car like Christopher Bell. Bell could move up through the field. The Penske cars generally were about the best guys outside of the 20. But Bell, all in all, was far and away the best guy out there. And all things considered, too, probably deserves the win today. And he showed it when the even with lesser tires, he was able to actually outrun guys on fresh tires today. And he would get the lead during this first stage, get past McDowell after a pretty good battle between the two, and win it over McDowell in second, Blaney third, Cindric fourth. This is the thing about Cindric. A lot of people are going to call this a Mickey win, and I get it. You know, the two best guys ahead of him had issues, whether it's running out of fuel or the engine blowing up. But Cindric did run in the top 5 for most of the day. You know, there was obviously the strategy shuffle and all that, but Cindric did run in that 3rd to 5th range much of the day, led some laps during it. And he was not even the worst Penske car. I'll say this. He was better, in my opinion, than Joey Logano today. I think he was much better than Joey Logano today. He was basically keeping pace with the 20 and the 12 for good parts of this race. So I don't want people going out there saying that Cindric had no business being up there. He was running down Blaney before Blaney was running out of fuel. Whether that was just, you know, the car cycling or something on Blaney's part or what, but he gets 4th in the first stage. And let me check the second stage really quick. 2nd in the second stage. So even if he didn't win, it was going to be a great points day and help him out immensely. So I don't want to hear too much Cindric slander on this one. There's been a lot to criticize, but today is not one of those days. A lot of McDowell supremacy. Let's have a GoFundMe for Cascarala. Anyway, Hamlin finishes 5th in stage 1. Byron, Gibbs, Reddick, Logano, and Elliott round out the top 10. Again, as much as there were issues during this race, which, by the way, I'm pulling up J-Ski just to make sure if whenever the points get published, I can tell you what's going on. But there were points in this race where the racing might not have been the greatest, but there was always something going on today. Like, I would say racing-wise, probably a 5 out of 10 day. But the craziness at the end, so much going on. You know, I do think it was a bit above average generally. And I think a lot of fans are going to look at it that way. I'm actually going to look up the poll really quick before we go over to stage 2. Loading up. And for the most part, people are pretty positive about this race. You know, I do have the poll that I run on the community tab, and be sure to vote in that. Let me know what you think. We'll read it on Wednesday night on NWP, this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Subscribe if you haven't. But I want you to let me know in the chat. Great, good, average, below average, or bad. I'm just type out your grade for this race of those 5 picks. Points are up. Where are the points up at? If you don't mind, let me know. Yeah, just spam what you think in the chat. And I'm seeing a lot of good. I'm seeing average, good. You know, I'm seeing a mix of both. But in general, people seem to have fun with this race today, which doesn't surprise me, especially with the finish. The finish itself, I think, is what's going to put it over the top for a lot of people who might have been on the fence. And let me double check, make sure. Okay, I'm going my end. My YouTube TV went out. Unless it's like a Fox Sports thing. If they show the points on TV, I'm not going to see them. They're on ESPN. Okay. Well, let's look them up really quick. Because I believe there's been 9 winners. Now it's back. There's been 9 winners today, or as of today. We're going to assume that Kyle Larson, at the moment, until told otherwise, is in. Just so that we're not muddying the water too much, because if that doesn't happen, then of course we'll have a huge shift. So standings, and then we'll get to the rest of the race. I want to look at this. It's 11 races until the playoffs. I know it seems far off. I know it's a whole summer away, But this is when you really start to shape the picture. If ESPN on here. Okay, here we go. So Briscoe is out now, but because of the really, let's see, they got Hendrick in. Okay, so here's what the points look like as of now. Buescher is the last guy in, plus 10 over Briscoe. Joey Logano is only 14 points out now. Kyle Busch is in 19th now. He is 20 points out. From there, they're all done. So the battle right now underneath the cut line is Briscoe 10 down, 14 down Logano, and 20 down for Busch. Above the cut line, 10 to the good is Buescher. 13 to the good is Bubba Wallace. From there, it's 47 to the good Blaney, and so on and so forth. So there you go, points-wise on it. So for anyone who is curious points-wise, and I will go over it again once I get through the race itself. Sorry for anyone wanting me to go through stage 2 really quick. I'm going to, they're turning off the NASCAR coverage now. So let's get stage 2 here. We get restarted. There's, again, the flip of different strategies. Gilliland and Busch up front. Kyle Busch looked pretty good when he was out there. He looked top 10. It's one of his best tracks. He should be running up there. Won last year. He took the lead early on in stage 2. It is worth noting, though, within 15 laps after being buried in the pack, it was Christopher Bell who went up there and just charged up and took the lead straight from him. And the RCR duo overall, though, ran about second and third the entire run. Austin Dillon ran pretty good on not just strategy, but then speed. He was not only able to get strategy-wise up there, he was able for large amounts of this race to maintain that. Maybe not top 5, but maintain a top 10 run tonight. Or today. But we did have green flag pit stops. It started because of that duo. And at first it was just them and a couple others who had maybe stayed out or had taken 2 tires. We saw a few different changes to strategy, like Larson, for instance, jumping up with 2 tires. But the whole field went down. I mean, they basically all were on the same strategy in stage 2. I'll admit it made that part a little boring. But the big stuff that happened in this is within 3 laps, Martin Truex Jr. has a left rear go down, has to go on to pit road again, slowed already. He's done for the day when it comes to competing for the win. He finishes 34th, 3 down, never really had a shot at getting any of that back. And then Josh Berry, who had run pretty well, had actually passed cars, and looked to be maybe one of the 5 to 8 better cars out there. Berry on lap 112 gets right up into the wall. I believe he said he had a flat. A lot of people were saying that there was like maybe brake issues that led to that flat, but it was a flat tire that sent him up into the wall. We get restarted with, lap 120. I don't know how many to go that was, but it's Bell and Elliott side by side up at the front. And I'm getting all these different texts from everyone. It was definitely a fun finish. I'm getting a lot of texts from people on that. But Bell is able to keep the lead. He had the best car out there. He wins not only stage 1, he sweeps the stages. So it's still a net positive day for him on a good run as well. Going to get extra playoff points. Points-wise, he's going to go up the board. He needs to really, I think that team needs to focus on getting into the top 10 and up further in the points to get more of those playoff points. So overall net positive, even though kind of a sad day overall for all U20 fans out there. But it's Bell, Hendrick, Blaney, Elliott, Logano, the top 5 in stage 2. Brad Keselowski, Chase Briscoe, Hocevar, Austin Dillon, and Denny Hamlin. And you're going to notice there's 2 names that aren't in there. We have it in the title, Kyle and Kyle Violence. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch were battling for like the 7th or so position, finishing into the last lap of the stage. Busch kind of got in a little bit to Larson, but I really don't think that that's egregious in any way. It's just normal racing in NASCAR. Larson gets into the corner. I had heard someone say he had a flat, though that Fox never followed up on that. I'd heard someone on the radio say a flat, so maybe because of the contact that happened. I'm not sure. Remember, this is right after the race, so I don't have all of it. Whose fault is it? Is it Kyle or Kyle's? I put this up earlier as a gag poll. We might as well have some fun with it again. Who is at fault? And I'll just put Kyle or Kyle. So there you go. Who's at fault? You let me know in the poll, in the chat. Spam whose name you think's at fault, Kyle or Kyle. They get into each other. Busch is basically totaled from this. Larson bumps the wall a little bit, but nothing that's going to take him out. It just basically loses him a bunch of track position. And Kyle takes a commanding lead in the poll over Kyle right now. Listen, I will say, being serious here, Larson did cook it into the corner. Busch did pinch him down like you're supposed to at this track. I would lean towards Kyle Larson. I'd say it's on Larson. I know that he's not going to say so. I know that fans are going to go back and forth, but 8-year-old humor. Hey, man, I'd rather have 8-year-old humor than be a stick in the mud. That's kind of how I look at it with it. And it seems like a lot of more people are having fun, too. It's Kyle. What the hell does Kyle Petty have to do with this, Alessandro? Saying it's Kyle Petty's fault. Ew, Kyle. He wrecked Kyle. Yeah, I like having fun with this, man. Probably Chastain's fault. Let's blame Freddie Kraft. Let's blame everyone but the two people who were involved. I think it was just really hard racing. I've had to lead to anyone, it'd be the 5. You know, he was the one that cooked it down in there, but I'm not upset with this. I don't think this is a huge deal that everyone needs to make a big deal out of. The big thing is it's a big deal for Kyle Busch in the playoff side. I mean, he's now 20 points out, and if there's another winner, it's really going to get interesting on that cut line. It seems to stay as close as possible. But then we get to the final stage of the race. We restart with about 90 to go. The 2 and the 12 are up at the front. Austin Cindric does get the lead here. So again, remember, Cindric was running up front and pretty damn good today. There's 3 and 4 wide all over the place on this restart. The restarts are wild. I'll say that. The restarts here are wild. Guys know they have to make up that track position. The minimal difference of tires at least still can be taken advantage of, and it makes for really fun television. I'm not going to lie on that, man. I love how everyone's blaming Kyle Weatherman, Mike Joy, Brian France. It's the waiver's fault. But still, I'd say early on, pretty interesting when it comes to the restart. It did simmer down for a good part of this run. 66 to go is where we really start hitting the fan with all this. Hocevar goes to the pits. This starts a cycle. Of course, guys like Blaney are in. Remember, Blaney was in a lap before Cindric, so even if it was just a fuel run, that extra lap ended up making a difference. He was supposed to be in a lap before. And of course, you have others that are going to stay out. You know, you had like Elliott and Larson and Bell, who comes in with 45 to go. And Bell, he cycles out, I think, like 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3, I should say, seconds behind Ryan Blaney. And with 31 to go, he's within a second. With 27 to go, Blaney misses the groove. They're all on, they're on top of each other. Side by side, Blaney is holding steady on the high side, holding off Bell. Bell with the superior car, though, was able to stay with him, not really lose too much. And with 24 to go, once Larson pits from the lead, last car to pit on track that really needs to, that's ahead of these guys, the battle's on. They're the ones going for the win at this point. Bell does clear Blaney at one point. Clears him, I believe, I want to say into 1 and 2. Don't quote me on that. Again, my memory can be foggy. The 12 pulls a crossover, slide job. Bell's underneath him again off 2. And it's just this really, really good back and forth. Blaney pulls right in front of Bell to give him the dirty air, which kind of basically screws his car, gets it a little further back because it gets tight into the corner. And it's looking like we're going to have a battle for the ages right at the end. Until with 18 to go, Bell radios in. He is blowing up. He did get a push from Truex to just keep going a little bit. That probably saved him 2 or 3 spots in this race. But from there, it's Blaney by about a second over Hendrick. Hendrick was running him down, but I think if he stays under power, I think that this is Blaney's race pretty easily. But, and again, he's side by side with Suarez, and we're thinking, I'm thinking, man, why is Suarez going full Ryan Newman and holding up the leader, coming to the white flag like that? Suarez, I don't know if you guys have noticed, is basically the Ryan Newman of modern NASCAR, where you just can't get by that guy. He has got to be one of the toughest, if not the toughest guys to get past to lap. It always seems like there's at least once or twice a month that he is battling for the entire race with the leader just to stay on the lead lap, and he always manages to. But Blaney out of 4, coming to the white flag, out of gas. Hendrick goes past him, takes the lead, takes the win, and that's the race. And we're going to end the poll right here. 73% of you say it's Kyle's fault to 27% that say it's instead is Kyle's fault on that one. The Kyle and Kyle violence. I saw somebody when I tweeted something about it, was like, don't get political on me. I follow this. I don't want to hear this political stuff of which Kyle to choose. And it was not the greatest race ever. Like, this is a typical run-of-the-mill race that has an awesome finish, which it did. Whether you want to admit it or not, this race had an awesome, awesome finish, just from an entertainment factor. And Anthony in the chat, chill with the McDowell supremacy. Like, I get it, but today is not that type of day. Noah Coleman, you called me out on my bias. It was clearly Kyle's fault. Calling me on my bias. I get it. That's gonna be a funny joke through the week. It's all good, man. All good. Just when he finishes 25th, it's not a supreme day. Again, spam the number of what you think. 10 to 0. Let me know what you're rating this race. Again, I definitely think the first half of this race was extremely dull. I think the strategy saved this race. I would say if this finish had just been a run-of-the-mill normal finish, I'm giving this race maybe a 5 at best. The finish bumps it up a point or 2 for me. So I'm seeing mostly 7s to 8s and 6s. So kind of in that, like, good, kind of goodness average. See, don't let the finish fool you. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it was probably a 5 out of 10 race for the majority at best. But a good finish does influence how good or bad the race overall is. But yeah, I see 6.999999 slightly above average. I'm again the number I'm seeing most is 7 in there. By the way, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to see how close we are. We're like knocking on the door of 77.3K. Yeah, we're like 8 away. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I want to see you here the rest of the year. We do this after every single race, Cup, Trucks, Xfinity, you name it. We'll be back next week, guys. We are 8 days away from actually, we're probably 7 days away, because depending on how long the Sonoma race is, we're 7 days away from not having to see Fox until next year. We're 6 days away from never having to see Fox again, at least till 2032 on the Xfinity side. It is, at least for that, be happy. Be happy at least about that. That's a positive we can look at. Hallelujah. Yeah. You know what? I saw some people fighting about it a little bit. I know what the answer is going to be, but let's have a little fun with it. Spam in the chat who your favorite of the 2 broadcasters is, NBC or Fox. Let me know what you think. I want to see. Again, there's good elements to Fox, like Larry Mack. Kevin Harvick's been good. The pit reporters this year, I think, have been good when they're in the pits. But I want to know. I want to see who's the outliers in this one. No picking on anyone. I just want to see the opinion. Some of the meme answers are pretty good too. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna get into a couple of these super chats and member chats. Thank you, Aaron, for becoming a new member. I appreciate it. Hunter Nixon Fishing for the 5. Unreal Ford is on to something though. Yeah, I mean, we were leaving Ford for dead maybe a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago at this point, but they have been turning it on in a really good way. So again, good on him. We knew with the new car it was going to be an adjustment period. I think we were just shocked by how compared to Toyota they were so off. Micah Kelly-Gilliam, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. And to the 5 that got that, I'm sure you guys appreciate it as well. Blake, thank you for the 5. Was Fox using the Darlington track map during pit stops? Sure looked like it. Glad to see Austin Dillon having a great day. So, again, there was a lot to criticize about Fox today. Their camera work was pretty bad. They missed the explosions for the 3rd straight year. I mean, like Gateway's setting off 20 nukes on the backstretch, and Fox has missed it 3 straight years. I'll ask you this: why for yes and for no? If it wasn't for social media, would you even know that Gateway blew up the backstretch every year? Why for yes and for no? Like I'm genuinely curious because I didn't know about it till I went to the track in 2022. I didn't know they did that. It's one of the coolest things. I'm telling you now, you can feel the heat on your face from the middle of the infield. And I'm seeing a pretty mixed bag. There's a lot of people that are why for yes, but there's a lot of people who are saying no. And I could tell that the booth, and this is why I will say, I don't want to give too much hate today to Boyer. I think Boyer actually was on it for the most part. And I even watched the pre-race show. But they were trying. They were trying to get the production truck to look at it. I don't want to give too much hate to the booth. It was all, I think, on production for the most part today. They had their issues, don't get me wrong. They were not perfect, but I think you can tell the frustration a little bit seeping through just by them being like, look at that on the backstretch over there. The giant explosion. We're like zooming in on Denny Hamlin's nose hair. SW for the 2. Didn't see that ending coming. I don't think Blaney did either. Fred Dog, thank you for the 5. I think that hurts Blaney a lot more than we might realize. Despite Ford being hot, he has had a rough last couple of races and could be in playoff trouble. True. To keep in mind, 54 points is the difference when it comes to where's it at? Wait, what did Bristol do? Oh, jeez. I will look at that later. Let's points-wise. 54 points, the most you can make up in a race. I saw some people in the chat talking about it. I have some people texting me about it. I'll look afterwards. And when you look at Blaney, he is 47 points to the good. So still, almost an entire race, but that's the danger zone. Because guys like Briscoe can pop up, we've seen, and get a win. Logano, he can always just get a random win in there. Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch. I mean, yeah, he might not be the Kyle Busch he used to be, but he is still a really good driver. And if RCR just gave him a halfway decent car, he could go up there. McDowell at road courses or super speedways. Eric Jones can have a pop-up. Same with Stenhouse. It's not a gimme for Ryan Blaney at this point. You know, he's not like Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain where he has over a full race over the cut line and would be good even with a new winner or two. Like, you get another winner or two and Blaney keeps having these mediocre runs, he's gonna be right there. So that is something definitely to watch. And I will say, points-wise, both Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex Jr., the other two I haven't talked about in points, they are over 100 points over the cut line at this point. I think, let's see, Gibbs is 107 up, if my math is correct, and 132 is the gap for Truex, even after a bad run today. So those guys, I'd almost say they're locked. I don't see us having 5 more extra winners that are underneath the playoff cut line. I just don't see that happening in 11 races. And especially this year, it's not as much like the last 2 years in the next gen either, where a ton of people are just winning left and right, and we're having 16, 17, 18, whatever winners a year. It's been a pretty normal season when it comes to that. A pretty normal pre-next gen season, I should say. Below the apron for the 2, awful coverage by Fox. Come on, NBC. Yep, again, one more weekend to go, and then we're back on the NBC portion. Vikings all day, thank you for the 2. Simply put, playoff needle just moved big time. Yeah, I mean, if Cindric doesn't win this race, Briscoe is in by 4 points over Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch is only 10 points out. And those extra 10 points, they add up, and you get another winner, and it adds up even more. You're adding 3 more with Bubba Wallace. You get just 2 more extra winners, and with that Blaney part of the cut line, and you're looking at a lot of guys like Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, Buescher, and Bubba Wallace, who are going to really get more into that must-win territory. Snappy, thank you for the 5. Cindric earned this win, drove well, led laps, and we ended up seeing why Blaney jumped him in the pit sequence. Got to get every drop you can, Fuel Man. Yeah, that's probably a big piece of it. They either rushed it or thought they were good to go, or just something happened on that pit stop, and they're going to have to look at what it was, whether it was a mess up with the fuel can, whether it was trying to just get too aggressive with it. Because even if he doesn't win this race, even if Bell keeps going and he finishes second, that is a difference of 22 points, which those 22 extra points for Blaney would put him 12th instead of 14th. It would have kept him ahead of Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain today. So that is a big deal. Rock's reviews and reactions for the 2. Sad day for Truex, but him helping Bell was cool. That was pretty funny, I'm going to admit. That was pretty funny. SW for the 2. Bunch of cheapskates for quality internet. I'm just saying, my upload speed here is... I take a note every time I stream, just to be sure. 840. And when I was there last year, it was like 3. So, yikes. Yikes. Napa Racing Fan, thank you for the 5. First non-super speedway win for the 2 since 2020's Fall Richmond race. Gateway continues to be the best flat track on the schedule. The phony playoff chaos begins. I'd say so. It's better than New Hampshire for sure. Marky Mark with the 2. Uh-oh, he's slowing, isn't he? Pain. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of junior fans that jumped over to Blaney and had like just, non-flashbacks to 2011 Coke 600. Albert, thank you for the 10. Finally, Ford showing up consistently. Yeah, I mean, the Fords are looking a lot better overall as a group. They're looking like they should look. Just reset on me. Man, dude. Thank you for the Canadian 2. I blame Clint Boyer. A lot of people do. I will say today, Clint Boyer, I think, was a lot better. Disco Inferno, thank you for the 10. Cryo Bush, I'm just reading what he's putting. Didn't learn any lesson from Stenhouse Punch. He threw a juvenile temper tantrum because someone dared to race him somewhat hard. I don't know why people root for that douchebag. Well, I'd be upset if I were taken out, even if it were aggressive racing. I still think it's more of a racing deal. I know that gets overused so much, but Larson did drive it really, really damn hard in there. Bush did pin him down as well and get a little contact into him, but I didn't see anything egregious other than Larson just lost it, unless he had that flat tire, which Fox never followed up on. Good point also in the chat. I've seen a few people point this out. Gateway had a great crowd today. They've had a great crowd every year, and they have a lot of energy in their crowds too. The St. Louis faithful, they come out when it comes to NASCAR. When it comes to IndyCar too, they love their racing. And I'm glad that NASCAR is finally tapping into that market. Now it's on the track to get some improvements with the internet, get some improvements with just in general with that, because they got the entertainments there. Outside the track, the amenities are really good. It's a pretty wide open area when they allow people to use the drag strip. The racing is what it is. It's a flat track. You're only going to get it so good, but it has those crazy moments. You need to get the internet good. That's my big one. And we got Austin. Someone saying Austin Cindric's in the chat. They're saying, guys, I just won it. Gateway. Oh, no, I'm a great YouTuber. Thank you. Good job, Austin Cindric. Justin, thank you for the 10. Didn't feel like watching today's Cup Series race as I watched a very entertaining IndyCar race. I'd say that the Cup race was worth watching, push come to shove. Soupy Spirit now leaves 2 5s in the chat here. Haha, douchebag pretty boy Blaney falls to the back. Someone doesn't like Ryan Blaney. It would be really interesting if they played the entire audio of his final lap. I have a feeling it'd have a few beeps and be on the Radioactive, which, by the way, reminds me, this is the last full week of NASCAR Race Hub and Radioactive and all of that. So any Race Hub refugees, you can come over to these post-race streams. You can come over to NWP like this Wednesday on my channel. So it's rough times, Fox. It's rough times. Also says, fickle NASCAR fans praised Gateway the last 2 years. Now they hate it. Never changed fan base. Never change. I think that the racing itself has always been what it is. Like, you know what you're going to get with a flat track like Gateway. It's very similar to New Hampshire. I think it's better than New Hampshire, personally. It's way better than Phoenix. I think it's just this, I think it's a mixture of things. This year has been a very up and down roller coaster year. The highs are very high. The lows are very low. And we're just all along for the ride. But I also think that I think Fox's diminishing returns when it comes to the quality of their broadcast really does hurt the way fans look at it. I mean, there's some points that are just egregious to the stuff they miss. Or like there was one point where they showed a replay of a kid cheering in the stands and then the kid live cheering. I think it was cheering for Bell. You know what? If you want to show a fan in the stands during a battle, awesome. Like, do a split screen like that. I think that when they do it split screen like that, I think it actually adds to the finish because you're seeing what the people at the track are doing, since they will not put a mic to the stands ever, as they really should. But you can see that kind of reaction that's going on. But when you put the same one, like that kind of mess up, or you just solely focus on them, or like you do with 14 to go, in case you missed it, as like a bunch of different passes are going along on track for the finish, and we're missing a lap or two because of that, that's when it's over the line. And I think that that's probably also feeding into why some people are not enjoying different races they normally would, or just straight up not enjoying it, the sport as a whole. Mark for the 5. The Fox crew must have been wielding their Pit Boys in an underground vault during those explosions. I swear, it's like they purposely miss it. I have to think it's on purpose now. Napa Racing fan for the 2. Larson gets a waiver. Replace Sonoma with Portland. Sonoma's not the problem, because pre-new layout with the Gen 6, it was generally a pretty fun race. Pre-stage racing, it was a fun race. I still say stage racing killed Sonoma when it comes to some of the great moments. I mean, Sonoma was one of the most fun tracks to go to, and I know a lot of people looked forward to it, where they do not now. Portland, I do think sometime down the line should probably get a cup race, just because, one, it's a new market that shows up for NASCAR. 2, on top of that, it has a pretty good amount of areas to pass and pretty good racing overall, all things considered. It's just a matter of how you can fit it into the schedule. But I think that having more of a return for those Xfinity guys too, they lose money. Even the winners lose money every time they go out there, and they need something in return. Soupy Spirit for another 2. Living in Wyoming, I am so far from any track. Well, at least you're not around a ton of people. I'm pretty sure it's the least populated state in America, and like, why would you want to be around a ton of people if you don't have to? But it does suck. There's just some areas of the country that are just probably never going to have that racetrack near them. So find a track you really like. Whenever they release the 25 schedule, like, just have it circled on there. Get a hotel till Monday. Make sure that you have like time just in case there's a rain delay or something, and have a blast at one of those races. Fred Dog for the 5. Mike Joy did say Blaney only had 3 pit stops, 1 less than most everyone else. Do you think it might have affected his gas mileage? I mean, it could have, but I just think that you could run 75 to, if you pushed it, 80 laps. Very far pushing it. I think it might have just been a mess up on the pit crew, or maybe the equipment even. But they didn't even know about what was going on. I mean, the crew chief didn't even know. The team didn't know. So I have to think it was, I don't know. I'd have to think it was probably the crew tried too quick and didn't put enough fuel in. And then our random goalie for the 5 says, McDowell finished around as good as he qualifies challenge. Impossible. Here's to hoping he wins next week, although I may have jinxed him now. Well, I hope McDowell does well too. I got my little 164 for McDowell here. McDowell supremacy. But overall, I think there was a lot of good stuff to take away from this race. I know that people aren't going to necessarily be the happiest with it. Gateway and flat tracks like it do not really allow themselves to have just amazing racing like a mile and a half now with the next gen would. But overall, I'd say I still had fun today. You know, and I think it's a good palate cleanser for what happened last week at Charlotte. So thank you guys so much for coming out. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. We will be back live this Wednesday on my channel, NWP, with Eric Eastep, Danny B Talks, and special guest Raw Gator will be on the show. Going to be a ton of fun to talk with him. I haven't talked to him in a while, so going to be a lot of fun too. And then we'll be live this weekend as well after the Sonoma races. So, and who knows, maybe we'll be live during the week for something else. Maybe if like Larson doesn't have a waiver, you know, or gets denied or something. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching. I cannot wait to see you again through the week. And until next time, have a good one. Later.